And it's a big day in Henderson. History is being made at this very moment in the city as Deaconess Henderson Hospital has received and is now administering COVID-19 vaccines. Joe Bird is live there this morning as frontline healthcare workers are rolling up their sleeves. Joe, behind you, it looks like we're still a few minutes away from things happening, but it's a big day at the hospital there.
Yeah, it really is a big day here at the Deaconess Henderson Hospital, Jake. Some of the frontline workers are standing off the camera at this time, so we're still waiting for all of them to gather and then get in the chairs behind me this morning to receive their first dose of that vaccine. There's 6 chairs out, but I've been told there's only 5 people receiving it, so we'll see. There may be 6 coming up here relatively soon, but they told us that the vaccine will be administered at 7 o'clock this morning, so we're still waiting for that to take place. But I've been talking with some of the officials from Deaconess, and they just said this is a very exciting day here at the Deaconess Henderson Hospital, that we're finally getting the vaccine out to people here in Henderson, the first vaccines to be given out. Now, the ones that they have received here at this location is the Moderna vaccine. As we all know, there are 2 vaccines that have been emergency approved by the FDA, the Moderna and the Pfizer vaccine. They're getting the Moderna here at the Henderson location because of the cooling restrictions that are needed with the Pfizer vaccine. So they don't have those kind of cooling systems here at this location, so that's why they're going with the Moderna vaccine. And she even said, in fact, the Moderna vaccine will also be given out in the Union County area as well. No date on that just yet, but that is a vaccine that Union County will be getting. Now, the Pfizer vaccine, that was approved on December the 11th, and then a week later, that is when the Moderna vaccine was approved there on the 18th. So this is just a first wave, if you will, of already arriving here in the tri-state. Now, a week ago today, Baptist Health Madisonville and Deaconess Gateway, that's in Warwick County, began to administer the approved Pfizer vaccine. Both require 2 doses to be effective as possible, with the Pfizer dose being 21 days apart, that Moderna then being 28 days apart. But again, the Moderna vaccine does not require those strict refrigeration freezer guidelines that the Pfizer. So let's talk about the vaccine, which and how it actually works, because this is, I know, a question a lot of people have asked, is what is an mRNA, which is short for the messenger ribonucleic acid that is used then to make a protein in our bodies. Now, according to the CDC, while the mRNA vaccines are a new type of vaccine to protect against infectious diseases such as COVID-19, the actual knowledge of them is not new by any means. In fact, the CDC says that researchers have been studying the mRNA and what to use it for and such for vaccines. They've been studying that for decades. Now, interest has grown in these vaccines because they are developed in a laboratory using readily made materials, and they trigger an immune response in our bodies. For example, like many vaccines, they actually use a weakened or inactivated germ or virus, if you will, that's injected into our bodies for our body to build the immune response. mRNA vaccines, they do not do that. Instead, they tell our cells how to make what's called a protein, or even just a piece of a protein, that then trigger an immune response inside our bodies, which then protects us from getting that particular virus, such as the flu or, in this case, the COVID-19. Now, this means the process can be standardized and scaled up, making a vaccine development faster than traditional methods of making a vaccine. Now, the benefit of mRNA vaccines, just like all of them, is it just gives you protection without ever having that really serious risk or consequences when you contract the virus. mRNA has even been used to trigger the immune system for response against cancer cells. So it's not just being used for vaccines. This, again, is all per the CDC. Now, you may recognize in the images, as you're seeing here, of the coronavirus, those little spikes that surround it. The CDC says the vaccine, what it does in our cells is it makes a piece of a protein, and the immune system recognizes that protein does not belong in our body and then begins to find ways to eliminate, using an immune response to get rid of those spikes, and then which then effectively would kill the virus, much like our bodies do if we contract COVID-19 and heal on natural matters. That's what this vaccine is doing. So it's a fascinating, Jake, to say the least, how these vaccines work. But I tell you what, Jake, I've heard the word quite a bit here inside the Deaconess Henderson Hospital several times. I've heard the word excited. We are excited, Jake.
Yeah, I think it's hard not to be. And Joe, as we talk about the vaccine, 29 different proteins make up the COVID-19 virus. And the one protein that's in this vaccine are those spikes we've talked about. That's what they'll be receiving today. In Henderson, we're seeing something similar to what we saw at the Deaconess Gateway facility last week. Can you talk to us about, I guess, what the expectation is for this shot? The officials, have they told you, I guess, once these workers get this, how they may end up feeling?
Basically what was been reported by the CDC and a lot of medical doctors is that it's the standard of when you receive basically any kind of vaccine, whether you get an HPV vaccine, the measles, mumps, rubella, MMR, even just your every year flu shot. So far what they've noticed is the response has been basically the same. You may feel a little sluggish for about a day. You may have a fever. It's going to hurt and possibly hurt at the injection site. There have been across the world now and across the nation, there have been a couple of allergic reactions to this, but that was to be expected. I mean, people have allergic reactions to flu shots every year, so that was just to be expected. And something of interest to also pass along, Jake, is we have those antibody treatments as well. There's two. I think one's called BAM. The other one is what President Trump received, which was the Regeneron. They are not available here at the Henderson location, but they are available at the Deaconess Gateway location. They said you can go online, actually go through a checklist to see if you qualify for that. So, Jake, why don't we kind of step off to the side here now, because we're beginning to see that those frontline healthcare workers are beginning to come in and take their seats at this time. So you can kind of see, you really can't see the smiles on their faces, but you can kind of read by the eyes. The lady here sitting to the right in the front has a very big smile. There's laughter going on. The gentleman in the back there wearing some black scrubs, you can just see by his eyes the big smile on his face. And also Linda White here is here. She was the CEO of Deaconess and went into retirement, but you can see her now walking across the screen at this time. She actually came out of retirement just because of the pandemic and such to really help out Deaconess as much as she can. So looks like we are going to have at least 5 frontline workers that are going to be receiving the vaccine here relatively soon. And so I'm not too sure if Miss White is going to be speaking or not, but we'll kind of hang out and see. Haven't seen the vaccines just yet, but she says that she thinks that we're ready.
We'll get you ready. Good morning. I'm Linda White, the Chief Administrative Officer for Deaconess Henderson Hospital, and it's a pleasure to welcome you this morning on this beautiful day, 2 days before the holiday. And we've got a historic event occurring today. We have frontline workers right here from Deaconess Henderson Hospital who have volunteered to take the Moderna vaccine, the vaccine that's going to help us fight this pandemic with the coronavirus. They have volunteered to do this morning to show everyone that this is a safe vaccine and that is also one way to help us control and conquer this pandemic. Let me introduce you to Margaret, to Terry Lynn, to Danielle, to Dr. Kitchens, to Casey, and Dr. Chappell. They are wanting to show you and the public that we are all about safety, we're all about care. And what we've done today is an historic time in our district. We're going to show the community that we are here to keep people healthy and safe. I want to let you know that we received 600 doses of the vaccine yesterday, and so we have a system set up so that our frontline employees will be the first in line. There are 200 doses that arrived at Union County, at the Deaconess Union County Hospital yesterday in Morganfield, and they will also be doing their administration of those 200 doses to their frontline staff. I know the question will be out there, what about the general public? That will come at a later time. We are really being governed by the Department of Health of Kentucky. We're in constant communication with them in terms of when our additional doses coming and when can we open it up for additional people. I know that that's a question on lots of people's mind. But let's get the vaccination started here. It's a very simple procedure, and you will see our vaccinators here get started and draw up the vaccine, and I think it's already drawn up. So, okay, frontline workers, roll up your sleeves, and let's show everyone how easy and simple this is. Again, you're making history for Deaconess Henderson Hospital, and we couldn't be prouder.
And so as you see here, the sleeves now coming up at this time for the vaccinations to take place. The first one here, the lady in the light bluish gray scrubs getting an alcohol prep.
We've already checked to see if they have any allergies. We've also checked to see if they've received a flu shot recently or any other kind of vaccine. All of that is happening behind the scenes. We wanted to show you the actual vaccination. So here it goes. Margaret, thank you.
And there is the very first vaccine of Moderna giving here in Henderson at Deaconess Hospital in Henderson.
And here comes Danielle.
Now, again, this is the Moderna vaccine, not the Pfizer. This means that after the injections today, they will then get their second dose in 28 days, since this is the Moderna. And a Deaconess official says that when patients will be given this, they are automatically already scheduled for their next vaccine. So the first three ladies now in the front have been vaccinated with the Moderna.
It is also asked them to just make sure for the next 15 minutes to take it easy. They'll be going back to their work setting where they will be around people. We don't anticipate any kind of issues, but just on the safe side, we're looking for about 15 minutes. And there goes Dr. Chappell. Okay, here we go. Dr. Chappell is an emergency department physician, so he comes into contact with lots and lots of patients.
And now an ER doctor here in Henderson has received his vaccine as well. And if you didn't hear Ms. White earlier, you heard her say they're going to ask them to sit around for about 15 minutes.
Along with Dr. Chappell, and you can imagine how many patients that he sees, and he may not know if they are carrying the virus or not. So this would be a good point.
Not even seeing flinches on anyone's eyes. Must have some great nurses administering these vaccines. And Dr. Kitchens now getting his case in that just received his, works alongside Dr. Chappell in the ER. And the nurse is now administering the vaccine, and here we are. We now officially have 6 people immunized from the COVID-19 vaccine.
Let's have a round of applause for our frontline staff here. And folks, these are our true heroes. Now, one thing that everybody knows, who's sitting here today, and I hope the general public knows, this is the first dose. The second dose will be administered in 28 days, and before they leave today, they will have their appointment for their 28th day. And then that will be a second dose. Then 7 days after their second dose, they will be proclaimed to be immunized. But that is...
There you have it, history being made in Henderson. The first 6 doses of the Moderna vaccine being given at Deaconess Hospital. Henderson will have Ron's forecast coming up next.